on the One Network.
At this pivotal time of humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are multi-dimensional creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology through experiment and experience our power to create and manifest.
Hello and welcome to this week's Collective Imagination Show. We are coming to you from a whole new location, still in Morocco, but this is Hope Girl and Fix the World's new Moroccan headquarters. So today we've got Hope and perhaps one or two more people popping in to sit down with us today. So welcome, Hope.
Thank you so much, and thanks for everybody being here. Welcome to the Fix the World House.
Yeah.
Fix the World House.
I like it. And as usual we have Dave. Of course. Hi. And Mr. Muscles. Wow. BK.
AKA the Coffee Man.
That's right.
Good to be here. Welcome back, Hope. Morocco just wasn't the same without you.
Well,
Glad you're
yes.
back.
I think when I left, I said I'll be back in a month, and here we are 5 months later. So it took me a little while, but I got here.
Doesn't even matter.
Time is irrelevant. There is only now.
No time.
There is only now. So why Morocco for you? What was the appeal to come back?
It's actually a blend of reasons. Some of them are more my heart-based, and I love this land and I love this country, and it just feels right here. And some of them are more practically based, because what we've been trying to do is start a business entity for the Fix the World organization that we can use to launch all of our projects, our humanitarian projects from. And I've been searching for this for about 2 years now in many different countries. I know that the United States has a whole bunch of regulations and laws, and they've just been adding law on top of law, which is making it almost impossible for anyone to do business and thrive in that particular structure. So I'm not saying that Morocco is absolutely perfect. It certainly has its own laws and rules that we still have to follow, but there's a lot more freedom to do the kind of work that we want to do in this particular structure. And because there's trade and treaties and agreements between Morocco and the United States, that really opens that up so that we can do business here globally as Americans. So,
Just to note, our live audience is not hearing us. So first question was, why Morocco?
and so we chose Morocco when we first came here to do the QEG project. I fell in love with the land and the people and the energy that's here, but also I started to realize that, because for about 2 years now I've been looking for a particular place where we can do the Fix the World business and launch all of our projects. So I've been searching for a business entity in order to do all of that through. And after learning about Morocco's business structures, there's a lot more freedom to do the type of work that we want to do. This comes from a couple of years of research looking at America's system, and there's just been regulation after regulation and law after law passed with that. So it basically makes it almost impossible sometimes to do just basic business. So that's one of the reasons why we chose Morocco. The weather is amazing. It's also, there's a lot of trade agreements between Morocco and America, so there's an openness here to do business as an American in Morocco, so I feel really comfortable here. And it's a great location that's pretty centralized to Europe, and it's also known as the gateway to Africa. So Africa, the economy in Africa, there's all kinds of things that are going on in the entire continent, and this is one of those major areas that we can use to bring some of our projects into Africa or bring projects out of Africa.
Yeah.
So,
On top of that, the chicken tagine is amazing.
yes, the food's wonderful.
So, what about QEG? That gained a lot of momentum. That touched so many people around the world. We talked a lot about it on the radio shows in terms of its potential as a tool of consciousness. And once we do get a free energy device up and running, how that breaks through so many blocks and paradigms that people have around lack, as opposed to the actual free, abundant energy that is everywhere. So I know that there's, how many CCs or how many QEGs have been worked on right now?
Yeah, so let me give you a full update on what the QEG is doing right now. So even though I've been doing my best to provide some updates on our blog, to say this is where we're at, this is what happened to the project. But myself and my family, we've been personally really busy orchestrating our own personal move. But just because we haven't spoken about it a lot, that does not mean the momentum of the QEG has died down at all. Because in fact, there are at least 60 QEGs physically being built all over the world that I know of. There might be more. And some people are public about it. They're saying yes, they're sharing information. We've got some Skype rooms where different engineers have been sharing, oh, this is what I found, this is what I found. What's happening right now is you've got these groups of engineers or free energy enthusiasts that have been interested in this type of work, or Tesla fans that have been interested in this type of work for decades. And they're using the QEG as a way to come together and experiment. Because what we're seeing with the QEG, and this comes just from my own hands-on experience working with some of these engineers for 11 months now, is there's all of these different experiments you can do with the QEG that are proving out theories of different forms of energy that prior to this we have not been allowed to know about. So you've got engineers that are unlearning everything they were taught in engineering school. You've got non-schooled engineers or non-degree engineers that are coming at this with different theories. You have different devices like Markov coil, the Tesla hairpin circuit, all these different technology devices that you can use with the QEG for experimentation, to get measurements, to understand how energy flows when you're not trying to blow something up or burn something. So technically, what's happened is organically we've got these different teams. So I can just speak about, I guess, our team, the Fix the World team, which is my stepfather, James. He was going for creating an antenna that was based on, he was going for creating an antenna to basically bring energy out from the stratosphere and put that energy into the QEG. So he's been experimenting with radiant energy. The last time that I was in his lab, which was just a couple weeks ago, he had a Tesla hairpin circuit with a spark gap on top of the exciter coil, and he had all the entire load of light bulbs. Everything was lit, and the QEG wasn't even turned on. And all of the fluorescent bulbs were blinking because he was basically experimenting with radiant energy. Then you turn on the QEG, create that resonance, which kind of acts like an energy vacuum, maybe, that helps to pull in the energy from the stratosphere and also grounding it through the earth. Now, I always like to say I'm not an engineer, so what we do try to do is whenever my stepfather can, he writes as many technical reports and explanations in this language so that everything is absolutely correct the way we say it. But I can just talk about the people, the engineers, and the work that's being done. So it's research and development, and there's 60 QEGs that are being built all over the planet. Some of them we know about, and we are really excited because a wonderful opportunity here that I'd like to start maybe even just next week is to create a show on the One Network where we can do regular QEG updates. I'd like to bring in some of the teams of beautiful people all over the world to talk about their experiences, what they're finding, how close they're getting. Someone said, is it a race to get to self-running? But it's not a race. It's what we're really talking about here is true co-creation. We are working together across the planet in Skype rooms, emails, small groups meeting of people that just want to make this happen, that are tired of waiting for the system to give it to them, and just to try to figure it out for themselves. And I do tell you that once somebody gets it and they get to self-running, then we will open source that as well. That is my promise.
The reason there are 60 around the world that you know of already is because of the open sourcing in the first place.
Yes.
And this may be a sensitive, somewhat political question, but prior to Fix the World taking on the QEG and open sourcing, have there been any QEG or QEG type devices that have gotten to self-running?
Yes.
So what happened with that information? Was it done through a private corporate funded group? Was it done by a guy in his garage? Do you know any of the details around that?
Yep, so to go back to the beginning, the QEG itself is based on one of Tesla's patents. Then another gentleman took that patent and turned it into a QEG looking design. Then a group called WITS actually built the QEG and got it to self-running. And so that video is all over YouTube. We've linked to it, and my stepfather Jamie took a class with WITS to learn how to do it. We got as far as we've gotten, and at this point, WITS will not give the recipe.
What do you think their reason is for suppressing that last bit? It's like they put out all of it, right? Except they left out that most important detail of getting it to self-running. They're holding it back. What's their agenda? I mean, if they're not trying to
They're not
make them
even
and sell
producing them
them,
and selling
and they're
them.
not producing them, and they're supposedly an organization that's supposed to be bringing products to the world to make the world a better place, what are they doing with it?
Well, the best way I can answer that question, because I've been involved in many behavioral patterns for people around the QEG, around free energy. There's a free energy circle. It's the 5 reasons why humanity does not have free energy. And it's all about human behaviors, which are greed, fear, secrecy, lies, and suppression. So you think that it would be something really simple, like, let's just all get together, let's make this work. If we get it out there, we will all be prosperous and everyone will have what they need. But then there's always something that's thrown into the mix, saying, oh, it's the holy grail, a free energy device, we could make lots of money, non-disclosure agreements, secrecy, and then it's basic human behavior, which is actually why I think we've gotten as far as we've gotten as Fix the World, because we based our entire business structure on core values for doing business a different way without the corruption to create the new paradigm. So we addressed all of those behaviors first, and then we brought this project through that particular stream.
You know, one of the things real quick that I love about it is, just to dovetail on that question, is when we were at Boom, we met people that had heard about the QEG that are well outside of our networks, right? And when we told them, you know, we got one in our garage, it's like, whoa, you know? And what that helped me to realize is that the message has spread way outside of our own personal networks. And there's a lot of people that it's given them something that free energy didn't have any context prior to this. And so it's allowing people to open up their minds, well, what do you mean, what is this? And when more people know about what free energy is and more people are interested in it, then more people are going to gravitate toward the objective of getting it out there and getting it to the people. I think that is amazing.
One of the things I was going to say is we see it happen with the suppression aspect of it. And not just with WITS and a whole lot of others, it's almost, you see, it's the template. You come forward and say, we have this is the holy grail of free energy, whatever. And we've proved it, look, it works. I'm going to sell you a course so you can come and learn it. They're not going to give you the final piece because they don't actually want the technology to get out there. But if they can keep everyone scrambling around trying to pick up these little pieces and then go from one to the other, that seems to be almost like a template that you see, whether it's the fuelless engine, whether it's the QEG original one that Wits did, so many of them. They come in, they start, it makes it look really, really good, but then it's suppressed. Whether the suppression comes
I can get away with
after.
offering a course.
Well,
It takes
but
you
they
so
do.
far.
But that's just it.
I'd like to take this moment, I did do a full interview on the free energy circle, so if we can just take a couple minutes, I'd like to bring everybody up to speed just on what I have observed in the last 11 months of being completely hands-on, traveling around the world, building free energy devices, and meeting a couple of hundred engineers personally and working with them. So what I've discovered is that we call it a circle. So this is all just my terminology. This is just my way of expressing what I've seen. Right? So we've got the whole planet, 7 billion people, right? And then you've got people that know about free energy and support it. And then you've got a little circle inside of that. These are the hardcore free energy people. That is the free energy circle. These are the ones, they're the builders, they build devices, they hold conferences, they go to conferences.
They eat and sleep free energy.
They eat and sleep free energy, they're serious, they've been doing it for decades. They've sacrificed everything in their lives to try to get to that sweet spot, you know, in the energy device. And they go from conference to conference to conference. Now in that group, first of all, you've got a whole bunch of really amazing, beautiful, brilliant people who I personally feel, they're all like almost channeling the spirit of Nikola Tesla. And if you've been around it enough, you can see that spirit. It's like there's definitely an energy that's happening right now on this planet at this time where this spirit of Nikola Tesla and his work and those who do the same type of work as him, it's all starting to come through people's hearts. And I see it in these engineers, and they're brilliant. So they're beautiful people. Then you've got some other types in this group. You've got people that actually build the devices themselves, right? So they actually know what they're doing and they know what they're talking about because they've got a certain technical mindset. Most of them are not really good with public speaking because that's not their skill set. Their skill set is transformers and capacitors and those types of things. Then you've got public speakers who don't actually build the devices themselves, but they go out and they speak about other people's devices. So sometimes those people don't always know exactly what they're talking about, right? The group, that inner circle group, is about maybe 5,000 people. That's like the hardcore free and globally, hardcore. So it's not a lot of people. So that's a tiny little market. So there is a conference with one guy who's selling a whole bunch of videos and DVDs and earning a living off of that about his free energy device. And then somebody new comes on the scene and that new person steals the audience of the person who's got his little conference, right?
Yeah.
So then what you've got is this human behavior thing again. It's not always a troll that's paid by the government or the energy company or the cabal or them that's trying to suppress it. Sometimes it's these people that are in the circle themselves because they're fighting for audience members. So the first thing they do when a new device comes out is they discredit that device. They go in there with a whole bunch of technical jargon, it's already been done, and they use all kinds of technical things, and they immediately discredit the other person's device because there's competition. There's aggressive competition happening, which, by the way, is one of Fix the World's core values, is that we do not foster an environment of aggressive competition. We foster one of cooperation, right? So we would like to engage all of these people and say, if we could all just work together on one device or one concept, once one of us gets the first one, everyone and all their devices will come out. But instead, it's
To me, it exemplifies the contradictory thinking. I mean, these are people who are working on free energy. We should tell them there is an abundance in the universe, there is nothing but, and yet they're competing.
table scraps. They're fighting for
Very
table
much so.
scraps, you know, to try to, sell DVDs, sell courses, sell classes. There's nothing wrong with selling things and making money. I don't think so, because we all need to earn a living. It's when you do things from a corrupt energy, from a corrupt perspective. In other words, win at any cost. cut down the other person.
No transparency.
And no transparency. So how about we sell courses and DVDs, but we do so in a way that is trying to help others, and we're showing that we're working together. So that's a little bit of what goes on in some of the, like, the underbelly of the free energy circles, and it's, you know, it can become, you know, it's like political mudslinging in a lot of ways, and it's this own little niche group. So that's what's really happening behind the scenes. But then we've got the rest of the planet, and we've got concepts like, if there was energy, if human beings could create and produce their own energy locally in their own communities without the power companies and that whole, you know, oppressive structure, think about people not starving to death. Think about, you know, how much would your life change if you didn't have to pay your utility bills? What would you use then?
No,
People were freezing to death in many countries because they
or
can't pay
boiling to death
electricity.
in hot countries, it's the same thing.
You know, I mean, energy, the price of energy is put into the price of everything. You know, the price of this glass, you know, is basically, they basically took the cost of the energy it took to produce it, and they put it into the price of it. So it would decrease the price of everything, the cost of living, which would put more money into our pockets so that we can actually live and thrive. So it's really, really huge.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to address is what you just said about the fact that so many people, you would think that these people who are in this industry would understand that there is no lack and that it's there, etc. My father worked in the green energy industry for 20 years. Wind towers, solar farms, but not, like, everything that he was working on was brand new technology, not these ridiculous wind towers that look like giant propellers that stand out like a sore thumb and break instantaneously as soon as they get put up. And I watched my dad within that industry in the same way. The struggle that you'd get involved, he would get involved with someone, would ask my dad's marketing and sales guru. He'd get asked to come on board because they knew the industry. And he'd see the design, and he would go to the wind tunnels in the universities, and he would go through all the testing, and he would do it all. And then you would find out that there'd be one person in the mix who was completely corrupt. My dad lost his shirt twice because of someone who was completely corrupt, and it was a product that was brilliant, and this person didn't give a crap about the fact that the product that they were actually marketing was groundbreaking. All they wanted was their money out of it. And it happens over and over, and over and over, and that my dad finally gave up. Like, my dad literally just kind of gave up and said, you know what, you have the guys from the United Arab Emirates, they're continuously trying to fund these projects, and yet as soon as the oil prices go up, all the projects get dropped. And then when the oil starts to, oh yeah, we're going to fund all these projects again. My dad flew in and out of Dubai, I don't know how many bloody times. It's all just for the money. None of it is for that background of the greater good of humanity. It's totally 100% for most of these people about the money and the control.
The human behavior thing that Hope's talking about is a byproduct of many years of programming and conditioning that says when you have a great idea, smack the copyright on it and a patent, and make it your own, and then sell it to the world and make $1 million. Part of the American dream. And this just proves that even these brilliant engineers and inventors around the world are not exempt of trying to break that conditioning within themselves.
And that's what I like about.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's just it. It's what we talked about when you and I were talking, when you guys were on the Opal tour, and you had all the issues come up with the engine and all this, and I was just like, I wrote the article and I talked about it and said, the freedom away from stepping out of the fear zone is to go public. In the biggest, most splashiest way that you can, because when you go public and you open source it all, they can't touch it. They can't go into 400,000 computers and remove the blueprints from it. They can't.
I think that when the Fix the World family open sourced QEG, first of all, QEG is not the most advanced, most amazing piece of free energy technology out there. It's 130 years old, right?
Yeah.
But it's the first one that's come out. It's more the way that we did it. Okay, because there's plenty of devices out there. Maybe some are bigger, better, faster, more. Who knows? I've seen a bunch. I spent a lot of time looking at all these different devices and, you know, meeting all these people. But the nature of how we gave it away, open sourced it, and then just said, here you go, humanity. You know, let's
Take it and run with it.
take it and run with it. Help us get there. Figure this out with us. Please share what your findings are. And then the fact that we crowdfunded that as well, rather than having like one corporation fund us, or, you know, one rich person who would have like their fingers on the switch of how they can control it. I mean, that was so unique, and I think that that was kind of unexpected in the world of free energy, in the world of trying to control this planet. I don't think that they would expect like this random act of human kindness of just, let's just give it away, you know? So, and the response that I've gotten from so many people that have been in this industry for decades has been that. That's the most important thing to them is, my gosh, you just open sourced it, and you just gave it away.
Well, it changed the nature of the whole game, how it works.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it shocked a lot of people.
It changed a lot of their thinking too. I mean, for example, there was this one group that this is one of many stories like this that I heard. It was a group of inventors, and they had been negotiating and arguing with an investor for about 8 months, because each one of them had a device, and they were trying to get their work out there so that the people could use their work. And they were arguing over patents and money and investment and all that stuff for about 8 months. And then they heard about the QEG and what we did. And they walked into the business meeting, and 4 of those inventors, this was a group of many inventors, 4 of them said, look what these guys just did. That's it. We're out of these negotiations. We're all going to open source, because this is not getting us anywhere. And open sourcing is the way to go, because it's the only way to get it out there. Now the thing is that what I've been learning as I get more and more in depth with this particular industry and business is that at first it's like open source, and then boom, overnight everything's just going to be fabulous and solid, it's going to blow up the paradigm, right? But that's not necessarily what's happening, because organically we've got groups of people in different communities and cultures all over the world establishing like their own small business, or what we're calling CISUs, cottage industry community units, in their own ways. A lot of them are on shoestring budgets. Some of them have a couple of people with a little extra wealth that are like, you know, this is like their passion, and they're saying, yes, I'll throw some money into creating the structure so that we can get it together. But you've got this whole thing that's forming organically, and it's because we open sourced it. You know, because, and also just to remind everybody, when you have a new product that comes on the market, like let's say a car, right? 9 years of research and development, and all of that's done under non-disclosure agreements behind closed doors, and they have budgets of multiple millions of dollars and teams of 20, 30 engineers that work full-time in order to bring that product to the market, and the public never hears about it or hears about any of that until it's on the shelf and they want you to buy it.
Yep.
Okay? We've done this, it's been 11 months now. And look at how far we've gotten. It's all over the place. So the open sourcing, it's not like tomorrow everybody's going to have a QEG in their house. Of course we love that, but what it is it's giving people the opportunity to engage and say, I'll do the work. I'll do whatever I can, even if they just want to help. We've got the bdo.com website, which has become this place for networking. Sean has put that site together. And, you know, actually Sean will be coming to Morocco very soon, so hopefully we can do a show with Sean on it as well. But that's like a networking hub for people all over the world who are interested in the QEG and free energy development in their community. A lot of them are engineers. There's a lot of documents on there. Some brilliant engineers will show up in these forums every now and then, and this is important to know too. They'll show up in these forums and they'll write up a paper with all of their experiments, all of their findings, all of their measurements. This is valuable information for other engineers to use. And they'll show up in the forum and they'll post it, and basically it's like, I'm just freely giving this information because these are my findings. Maybe this will be helpful to the next team, and that's how we can work together. Unfortunately, you still have human behaviors. You still have the trolls, And as much as we would like to just ignore them, and we do that for the most part, the trolls attack these brilliant genius guys with their papers. And the guy, he pulls his paper off the forum and says, I'm never doing that again,
Yep.
right?
And that's the nature of trolls, and that's why they're there.
So what we are doing through a partnership with Tesla Energy Solutions is for Fix the World is, because the QEG project is still running strong. Okay, it's our first project. We're launching some more projects that are not QEG related, because that's what we are. We're a humanitarian projects organization. Part of the QEG project is we're going to put together like an experiment board with YouTube videos showing all the different experiments that have been done with the QEG in an open sharing way, but there's not going to be any comments section, and there won't be any like forum type things. It's just YouTube videos of your quality experiments. Show us what you found, show us what you did you get it from the secondary or the primary, and all these different technical terms, so that engineers can have a base to have quality information without all having to...
Troll-free zone.
Troll-free zones. We have to do it that way, so...
Well, the problem is running any community troll-free is exhausting. I've done it to the point of, 18, 20 hours a day, and your eyes start getting to the point where they're the same size as your screen, and you can't, and when I shut down the comments on RTS and didn't allow comments anymore, everyone was up in arms. I'm like, do you have any idea how many hours a day it takes me to go through the 400 comments and delete and et cetera? But that's the nature of the beast. That's why they're there in the first place.
There is some
And the sad-
positive comments here that
Well, I was
worth
just-
sharing too.
One of the things I just wanted to touch on really quick is some of it, which is really sad to me, is I got, right after you guys left to go to England, I got into it on Facebook, and I'm never on Facebook anymore. I got into it on Facebook, a guy I've known for years on Facebook, who I had no idea was into free energy. And he was slagging off, oh, Hope Girl, and QEG, it's all crap. And I was like, really? Well, I'm here, and I'm standing next to the QEG as I type, and blah, 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 blah. And for an hour, he went on and on to the point you could see him pulling specific people into the conversation on his wall. And yet I know this guy's not a troll. I've known this guy for 5 years. I've worked with him in so many different other areas, but the trolls have gotten to him, so he jumped, and this is where you deal with the trickle-down effect, where you get someone comes out and they slag off this, whatever it is. And then you've got to deal with no, this is fact. Would you actually like the facts from the people who are on the ground? Not the person who's sitting over there, sitting behind his computer screen. Would you actually like them? And if you're going to listen, I'll give them to you.
Does General Electric get the same kind of troll behavior?
Funnily enough.
How about the bankers? Have any of them gotten
They actually have an anti-troll budget.
There's some interesting shit
What
going
are they
on.
letting those people?
What I wanted to say was the whole concept behind not waiting anymore. You mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
And people just taking the power into their own hands. It's kind of what was fueling the Opal tour at the beginning as well. We're not going to wait anymore. Let's just do this thing. And including our attempts at bringing out the energy that comes from products out. But
It's okay, we can talk about it.
it's been done, it's been done. I think now more than ever, in so many areas, no more waiting. No more waiting for someone else to.
So done with that.
And I can see a huge push actually coming from us.
No more games.
No more games,
Done with
no
the
more waiting.
games. Done with the... Yeah, I'm not going to go there. We're just done.
But I wanted to sort of pass on some of these comments. Somebody in the chat room camp says, it has occurred to me recently that Source will only give us energy we can use ethically. Instead of living in extremely hot or cold climates, making huge levels of energy use necessary for survival. All signs I see are that nature is pushing us back and forward to live sustainably in nomadic tribes that thrive on a fraction of the energy an average person uses today. solar could easily power the world with what we already have. Our mindset and consumer lifestyles are the problem. Also, someone keeps smacking the table, or the microphone stand, make a loud boo. Sorry. And to answer another question, does the QEG work now? This person just tuned in a little late. The update from Hope was that there are at least 60 QEGs being worked on currently around the world. And I suggest you go back and listen to the beginning of the show in the archive when it's up. You guys, the trolls are just signs that you're shaking up people's paradigms.
Well, I would like to just provide, to kind of, give a full update on QEG and where we stand now. So yes, there's 60 of them being built around the world. I know that South Africa, gorgeous team of people in South Africa, they just reached resonance a couple of weeks ago, and they wound their own core, and they built their own toroidal winding machine, and just absolutely amazing. And there is a gorgeous video out there of that happening. Hopefully we'll have them on a show so they can talk about their experience. I know that Canada just reached resonance as well, and there's many QEGs being built and all these different versions of the QEG, so there's amazing things going on in Canada. I can tell you from myself and my QEG family, my stepfather and my mother, right now my family is moving. They just lost their house in Pennsylvania, so they're moving out of that house, and my stepfather is going to go work in Orlando, Florida, with Tesla Energy Solutions, which they have their own QEG, so he's bringing his QEG to Tesla Energy Solutions to be there for the next month. And what he's doing there, they have a fully functioning lab with every single part, tool, measurement, everything you can possibly imagine. It is a fantastic, fully stocked environment for doing energy experiments. So he'll be working on the QEG there with the team at Tesla Energy Solutions, who come from some very well-known company backgrounds, which I won't mention for obvious reasons, but these guys are top-notch, and they're all going to be working on that together, trying to get to self-running, doing a few different experiments with it there. And while the rest of the teams around the world are doing their own experiments, trying to get to self-running. And then at the end of that month, my stepfather will be coming here to Morocco. My mother will be coming here to Morocco in 10 days. So basically the Fix the World family is coming in one step at a time. Hope Girl's here first, establishing our base and our headquarters. And in a couple of days, we will be transporting the QEG that is here in Morocco from the town that it's in over here to our headquarters so that we can continue to work on it here. And we do have a couple of engineers here as well that might be able to continue working on the Morocco QEG. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew everybody is working on as many QEGs as there are around the world, and we're doing the best that we can to bring people together so they can share information, hopefully get us there faster.
Watch out, Morocco. Thought you were done with us. You know what this is kind of boils down to, as far as the QEG goes, is that it's just a function of timing. Even if Jamie decided, holy crap, I'm tired, I got to move on. I know that knowing Jamie, he's not going to do that. But you have all these other people working on it around the world. There's so much energy by way of human resources that's been invested, committed to this project, that it's not an if, it's just a when it's going to happen to get to self-running. It's been proven to work. WITS has done it, it's gotten to resonance, you got all this energy accumulating inside of it, it's just an extraction, getting it out of it, it's turned out to be the biggest challenge. But with all these brilliant minds from all around the world, it's like, it's just a matter of timing as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, to be devil's advocate and the worst kind of cynic, just to throw it out there because somebody will.
That's what you do.
And we love her.
What is the potential of one of these groups reaching self-running and then shutting up and running away?
Well, what's the potential? I think it's very possible that could happen, and I base that answer on what I've seen in human behavior with all the different people. I mean, I still believe in the best in people, but People shock me all the time. But here's the thing, it's open source. So if one person gets self-running and runs away and doesn't tell anybody, then somebody else is going to get self-running.
My counter to that is that it's already, how to do this is already in the collective.
Yeah.
And these guys are drawing in on that. And if the first person
Exactly.
who gets it, whether they shut up or not,
And that's
again infuses into the collective, and it'll be a domino effect after that. Just
Yeah.
my-
I love how you said that, because that's that Tesla spirit, because you can see it. You can see it in the eyes of some of these guys that are building these machines. You can see that energy and that spirit. It is in the collective. It's like how 6 people invented the light bulb at the same time, and they didn't know about each other, because they're pulling that information from the field.
Just to move on a little bit, this is Tesla related,
Mhm.
and it's just one of the Fix the World projects, but it's not QEG necessarily. You've got a few more projects you're moving into. One of them is with an artist
Mhm.
and Tesla Solutions that you mentioned earlier. Can you tell us about that? Because I saw the paintings.
Yes, so what we've done, because up until now we've done crowdfunding for specific, like, QEG or help us, put the project together. And now we're launching a second project, which is to help support free energy development in general, as far as, all of these guys, because this stuff is not cheap. To get all these, the equipment itself for one build costs $75,000. And it was donated and lent to us so we can take measurements, and then it had to go back to where it came from. So we paired up with an artist, a famous artist called Rock DeMarco, who does celebrity paintings of Marilyn Monroe and Blues Brothers. He works with people like the band Kiss and Johnny Depp, and he's been on Good Morning America, and he's known as the fastest painter in the world. He can do these huge, gorgeous paintings in 6 minutes, and he's got quite a show that he does. He's got like his own like rocker look. So we teamed up with him, and we commissioned him to paint a portrait of Nikola Tesla in his style. And that was Tesla Energy Solutions. They were the ones that commissioned Rock DeMarco to paint this painting. So the 3 of us, Tesla Energy Solutions, Rock DeMarco, and the Fix the World organization, have come together to create the Hope Rocks Tesla Lives project. So we're selling prints of this Tesla painting, small ones for about $25, $30, and giant poster-sized ones for about $45, $50. And the part of the proceeds will go to support free energy development for all the expenses there, so that we can keep these guys working on this. And Rock DeMarco himself has his own foundation. He goes into hospitals where there's sick children, and he creates art rooms so that the kids don't have to stay sick in bed all day. They can have an art room to go into and be creative. So part of the proceeds go to free energy development and art therapy for children.
Nice.
And it's Tesla. And the other thing too about this painting that I personally love is that when you see Nikola Tesla, it's usually like an old portrait.
Yeah.
It's like antique looking.
Black and white.
Black and white, it's an old portrait. Tesla is reborn at this point. His energy is coming back in such a way. So this portrays Tesla in like a modern, hip, cool, brilliant light. So we have a campaign out there right now. We put it through Indiegogo to try to sell 1,000 of these paintings, and we've got 30 days left for it. So think about Christmas, Christmas presents. Think about all those engineers. Janie has one of these prints hanging up in the lab, looking at him while he's building the QEG, and you've got Tesla's eyes, like, I'm watching you, and I'm here, my presence is here with you. So I think it's been blessed by Tesla's spirit. So that's one of our projects that we've got going. Really exciting stuff.
That's very cool.
It's a great portrait.
I
should see the video.
haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to see
Oh,
it.
it's nice. The video she did too is really cool.
Well, maybe if we do the video for this, it's only like a 3-minute video. If you want to insert it in there at that point,
That would be
that'd
phenomenal.
be great.
Yeah, we will. Good idea. Okay, so there's 2 more, which I don't know much about.
Yes. So the second project that we will be launching very soon, probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping, is the Water Circ project. And so we're taking our water back. So it's a simple concept. It's a water circulation device that you install in your house. It takes about 5 minutes. The pump itself costs about $300. So for a homeowner, you put this in your house and it will save your household family 15,000 gallons of water a year. And it provides instant hot water to the entire house. So the thing is, well, that's wonderful, and it pays for itself in less than a year. Most alternative energy saving devices take about 3 years to pay for themselves. This one pays for itself in less than a year with your water savings for your water bill and also your electric savings because it runs on less power than it takes to light up a light bulb. All right, so it's a simple pump that's out there, instant hot water, so it's a nice product for people to have.
So are you saying it actually replaces the hot water tanks that people have?
No, it doesn't replace the hot water tank. What it does is it recirculates the hot water in all of your pipes. So technically, if you have a hot water heater on one side of the house, and then on the other side of the house is your shower, and then you turn on your water, and it takes however long for the water to get hot, all of that water that's going down the drain is water that we had to pay the energy companies for in order for them to treat that water. Now the problem is that there's at least 1 billion people on this planet that don't have access to clean water, and it's a huge problem. And water is a $600 billion industry that makes huge profits for companies like Goldman Sachs, Monsanto, and the energy companies. So the water that we waste in countries like America, which I think might be the biggest waster of water, all right? In modern countries, we waste all this water. That's all this money that we are paying for these companies to treat the water. Meanwhile, none of them are doing anything to provide water for the countries with people that don't have any clean drinking water. Okay, so this is a big problem. What we've done as Fix the World is to get creative and put together a project. We've got a water pump that we can sell that will give you, in your modern country, instant hot water in your house and save you and your family money and water every year. Then we take a portion of the proceeds of the sale of that pump and we use it to fund projects like atmospheric water generators, water filtration systems, and other types of ways to bring water to people in communities that don't have any. So it's save water to give water. And it's also, most people don't have any control over how much water they're wasting, and they have to pay the companies for that water. So this is one way that the people are taking our water back from the giant industry. So that is our second project that will be coming up very soon.
What countries will those pumps be available to? Is it just the United States right now, or will they do international shipping?
They will ship internationally. We don't have a list of exactly which countries yet, but I was asking a lot of questions about that. There's just like different fittings where you can just swap out one fitting for the other if it's a different kind of system in a different country. So it should be pretty adaptable to just about any system that's out there in modern countries. And it's so simple, you can just go to a sink under, like a bathroom sink in your house, farthest away from the water heater, go underneath the sink, unscrew the hot pipe and the cold pipe, and then put this in place of it. It takes like 5 minutes to install it. It's really, really simple and easy, and it has an automatic timer on it with a temperature gauge, which keeps the water at a certain temperature. So it's a set and forget. So you will automatically save water without even having to think about it. So.
That's really important. Nick's been working on something like that for years.
So that was our second project. And the third project I don't want to talk about too much yet because it's still in its very early stages of development, but I will just mention briefly, it's taking our privacy back. So it's Project Cryptos, and what it is it's cell phone encryption that people can use who are concerned about their privacy. Because right now we've got all these news stories coming out about how we have phony cell phone towers and all of the different agencies are intercepting calls and nothing is private. Now, some people might not care about that, but there are situations in different countries like Christian missionaries that are in non-Christian countries that are concerned for their safety. They need private phone calls. Some guys that are out on oil rigs, they need private phone calls. So there are situations, refugees in certain countries, military men that are on borders. So there are a whole different bunch of reasons why people really truly need privacy, other than just I feel kind of weird because I have the FBI listening to my calls. And there's businessmen and women too who are trying to do, deals so that they can make money. And
Also, the whistleblowers are coming out, it'd be nice for them to have
Yeah.
a secure platform.
Well, even the free energy people who are working with me, I used to come across it all the time when I still had my forum up and running, where people would be, there's so many things I'd love to discuss, but
I can't.
I can't, because I don't trust that there isn't a troll, there isn't someone just, not even speaking, but someone cutting and pasting, et cetera, et cetera.
You know what's interesting about this one is I came around full circle on this, because when I first heard it, I've put myself into the category of, well, you know, I use Facebook, I use open email like Google, which we all know is being watched by the NSA, and I've just kind of given the finger to the system so much so that I just don't care. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's these little things that if enough of us do it, then they, the proverbial they get shaken up more and more, and that they are required to go off script and more gets exposed. I mean, what if a few million people adopted this technology? Now all of a sudden they're scrambling to keep a pulse on their ability to maintain control and maintain the illusion. And so
Chances are the first people who would jump on board are those who don't get watching.
yeah.
Well, if you even think, look at the courtesy notice as a prime example of that. A lot of people who sent out courtesy notices back when they were first launched, not even necessarily because they wanted to take back their debt, etc., but the impact that had, like I say, millions of people going, all of a sudden the entire industry goes,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It works by the same effect. If you only have one or two talking about it, but when all of a sudden it goes viral and you have 100,000 talking about it, it's a game changer.
Desperation does funny things on people trying to maintain control.
Yeah.
And the more that we can make them desperate, the faster things become more visible and exposed, you know? So,
Oh yes, it's becoming very, very transparent at the moment in the news.
very visible.
Sorry, I was zoning out. I have no idea what you guys just said.
Business as usual.
Transparency in the news.
It's okay.
I was reading comments.
Anything good?
One Wall Street bonus could buy 0.1 water filter for every person in the world.
Yeah.
No fancy pumps needed.
Yeah.
I believe that all these capitalist efforts are hindering development. If there is no water in an area, maybe it would be a good idea for those humans to live somewhere else until the desert area can be reforested.
Well, I know that's lovely to say, but
It's not easy to relocate people like that.
no.
If they're going to sell anything, develop plans for the tech that can be built by poor people with minimal tools, and take donations, sell package plans. I want like a Hope Girl, but her attachment to capitalist manipulative economy principles concerns me. That's an interesting comment, because I don't see that with Hope at all, to be honest. I see complete commitment to changing that paradigm,
Exactly.
which was demonstrated with the open sourcing of the QEG in the beginning.
Well, my background, like just my personal story, my background is I'm a businesswoman. You know, I went to many years of school, I had an MBA, I worked in corporate finance, I worked in government finance, I owned my own business for a few years. That's my passion, is business. When I was in that business world, I don't think there's anything wrong with business and doing business with each other. It's the corruption. So when I had my own awakening experience where I realized the corruption and I saw things and I blew the whistle in the corporate job that I was in my heart I just said, you know, I have all this knowledge and all of these tools on how to package things together in business deals and how to help people organize their thoughts and their ideas into projects and do budgets so that they can actually manifest them, right? Maybe I can do something different. Maybe I could do something like write a new paradigm business model to say this is how we can truly do business together so that it'll work without all of the corruption. So that's, you know, I wanted to use my knowledge that I had, not just throw it away because it's all corrupt, but I wanted to be able to take that and apply it because right now, in the last couple of years, maybe the last 5 to 10 years, there have been so many people that are waking up and they're feeling that they're getting these ideas and these inspirations but they don't know how to package them,
Bring it together.
how to bring it together. So that's my whole personal mission, is just, I don't want to just abandon all of my passion and love for business. I want to be able to use it and offer that as a service, because Fix the World is a service. That's what we try to be, as a services business, to help other people who have their projects, to get those projects packaged well and implement them so that they actually happen and take place. Which is another reason why I'm really excited to be here in Morocco with all of you lovely people.
Oh, we gotta talk about
Because we've got, there's a whole bunch of people now from this group here, and others that are close by here in Morocco already with some fabulous project ideas. So Fix the World is a humanitarian projects business. We are services to help you guys put your projects together. So we're excited to be here to help you work on that, because we want to be able to launch as many projects as we can from this platform.
Well, like you said, people are waking up, people are coming up with incredible ideas, where they're going to come out with new products, new technologies, whether it's QEG or free energy or whatever it is. There still needs to be a structure
Yeah.
for taking that idea from whether it's from some backyard engineer, or whether it's from a tribal woman here in Morocco or somewhere in Africa. It still needs a structure in order to get it out to the people, get the word out, move these things around, get them manufactured, whatever is required. So there still needs to be a structure.
Well, yeah,
Hope
there's a,
said about the fact that you have your engineers who can do this, and then you have your speakers who are really good at standing up at the podium and explaining it all. And all that's lovely, but you also need those people who are also capable of saying, okay, here's the project, here's the marketing, here is a good way of moving forward.
Even if all these people are put
It's-
together and you give the thing away, it still requires a
Organization.
structure.
well, here's the thing, is there's this status quo, business as usual business model, and there's a script. You know, people, when they launch a business, a lot of time, what do? They go online, they research how companies have been doing it for the last 100 years.
How to write a
and they
business plan.
Yep, and they stick to the script. And, you know, the business, there's a lot about the old business model that works, and there's just a lot of shit that doesn't work anymore.
There's also a lot of fear about stepping outside of that script.
Yeah,
You will
absolutely.
fail if you get.
That's
You
exactly
must
it. They
follow
say
step
if you,
1 till 10.
yep, if you dare to be different, you will fail. And so the way that it's redesigned is by everybody who's involved in business taking those little steps that ultimately add up to huge leaps, and constantly asking yourself, how can I dare to be different? Am I willing to risk it all in order to champion a new idea or a new way, or kind of a new archetype for doing it, and just stand behind it no matter what? And a lot of the time people go, ooh, never really seen it done that way before. That's kind of nice. You know, I'm dealing with kind of looking at those things right now with my new project.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, is we had a conversation over the last few weeks about changing the language, is when you have a product and here's your product, and the old stereotype is these are the words you use to describe said product.
Yeah.
Yet we know that these words are now meaningless, organic, or,
Yeah.
you know, FDA approved, whatever. So you have to change the language. And in doing that, that also, like you said, it opens the eyes when you say, we're not going to use this word, organic, or pick a word. We're going to
Create a new one.
create a new one that actually means what it means.
Yeah.
Not has been changed and worked, and that now it has no meaning.
Yeah.
And you stand behind it, and people, because then people ask, well, what does that mean? What, organic? Isn't a good, wait a second, I didn't know that. And people start questioning, and it leads to another whole avenue of discovery.
I read an article recently, and it was a bunch of people who have been surveyed from around the world, over 120 countries. And unanimously, what people were looking for with products in general was the same thing we're all looking for on every level, which is more transparency. There's a total lack of transparency in politics, government, banking, and all of that. And there's also a total lack of transparency in the way that business has been done in the past. And I think that the reason why the QEG created such a large impact was it was way off script, and it was way transparent, And it was way more transparent than what most people are used to in that business as usual. And that those little across the board add up, and next thing you know, all of a sudden this new paradigm kind of way of approaching business is adopted, fostered, nurtured, supported, and then it just becomes the new way. And that requires everybody to take things into consideration.
I look at the world we live in now, and I talk on my smartphone, and I watch my TV, and I fly in an airplane, and I drive a car, and I do all these things. And all these things were made possible by somebody who thought outside the box, who said, let's do it a different way, and who got ridiculed by everybody around them. So, we're change agents, we all are. And, so that's why we just want to foster this environment and keep it going, because it's time for the new.
After you've had so many rotten tomatoes thrown in your face, it just kind of becomes irrelevant.
It just becomes a facial.
It just becomes a facial.
Tomatoes actually are really good for the skin.
They are.
You just rub those rotten tomatoes.
They're really good for sunburn.
Nice face mask.
I have a question though, in terms of, if there's anybody listening, and they're in the process now of starting a business, because they've got a product or a service or whatever it is they want to do, and they have either doubts or are kind of completely repelled by the idea of going down all of the normal roads that they're told to go down. Maybe it's the one thing that stopped them from actually starting a business. I don't know whether you've done this or not already, you may well have, but have you put it out there about how to create a new paradigm business for people themselves? Like this whole, everything you built, Fix the World on, all of the, how can I put this? All of the principles you brought to it. And I'm sure the operating procedures are different. They have to be in order to completely flip the paradigm. So have you put that together in a package, whether it's a course, a book, some way to help people look at starting a business differently?
Well, I've started to put that together because, that's a lot of material to create, and that's my hope and goal is to continue to create that. I would eventually like to be at a point where we've got simple online courses that people can take to learn all the ins and outs of how to create their own new paradigm business structure, depending upon what it is. So we started with the new paradigm business model, which came out a while back. If you guys remember that, you did some coverage on that.
Yeah.
So that gives you some concepts and ideas of what not to do and to do this instead. And they're all just suggestions and guidelines because we never infringe on someone's free will. You can choose to do whatever you want. Here's what we're doing, and here's if it's working or not and why we're doing it. The other thing too is I put out a CSU certification course, which is it's about an hour and 15 minutes, and it's a YouTube video. You can see it on our website. And what that is it's a step-by-step structure of how to create your own small business unit based on building QEGs in your community. So we put that out. It's got videos and different concepts. It talks about some of the core values of fostering cooperation instead of competition. It talks about how we would not suggest going through any kind of government funding or things along those lines. I mean, for example, one question we get all the time is, are you a nonprofit? Why aren't you a nonprofit? And the reason why we're not a nonprofit is because in order to be a nonprofit, here's a gigantic volume stack of laws, rules, and regulations that you have to follow by the IRS to be a nonprofit. And if you ever do anything wrong, then we take your nonprofit status. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we're not going to follow rules. We're going to do everything the way it needs to be, but I would choose to do a different business structure that doesn't have all of that. So just,
well, it's taken you 2 years to find the right thing.
Yeah, and we've been searching and searching, so.
Your battery's about to die?
That's all right. I'll just read the chats on your computer.
There we go. Well, that's it. If anyone has done any research on non-profit status, it is so corrupt. So beyond ridiculous, because I went through that about 3 years ago. And it was jaw-dropping. And then when people say to me, are you going to do non-profit? It's like, no. No.
Well, that's it.
For the same reason I don't donate blood to the Red Cross.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no!
Right.
Yeah, well, and I mean, none of the structures, corporations or non-profits or, none of them stand up moving forward with a whole new cooperative versus competitive mindset. Ooh, excuse me.
The other thing too that I try to focus on from Fix the World is, there's conversations about theory, right? And you can philosophize, you can talk about theory, and you can argue theory and debate it, and this is better than that. But then there's actual practice. And something that I'm always focusing on is, what results do you have? So that's a question I always ask myself, and I ask every person that I interact with, is what results do you have? And even if the result is not complete yet, but they're getting somewhere, it's what's actually manifested, because you can get caught up in theory and it can be completely and totally wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong, and it's never actually going to turn into reality. So it's important to see what the results are, and to try to base your decision making on those particular things. And you know what? Just to be really open and honest, I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. I know, right? We are.
Speak for yourself.
We are, like, just for myself and Fix the World and the work that we've done in the last couple of years, we're the ones testing the waters, I feel. We'll go out there and we'll say, you know what? Let's give this a go. Nobody else wants to do it, but it feels right, so we'll be the first ones. We'll be the ones to pierce the veil, and we'll be the trailblazers and the pioneers, and we'll do it. And sometimes it might not always work out.
No, sometimes
So that's when you course correct and you do something a little different, and then all of a sudden there's this path, and then you got all the me too's, right? Me too, right? So it's not comfortable being in this position. It's never comfortable, but for me personally, I feel it's the reason why I'm on this planet, is to do this as a service to others, to help lead one path of many that people can follow if they resonate.
Yep.
And just try to set the best example that I can.
Change is a function of the lot of choices that add up by enough people who put them through, at every choice point, put it through a filter, and then you start asking yourself, based on the amount of choices, which ones are more representative of the change that I'm trying to make. So when enough people do that and start evaluating their own choices that they have at every juncture point, that's how change ultimately happens. So people, they're going to throw tomatoes at you all day long up and down the street. But if you know in your heart you're passionate, you're committed, and you're transparent, and you're honest, and you're doing it for the right reasons, it really doesn't matter what anybody else says.
Well, it becomes clear in the end. It becomes clear. And that's the whole thing. People might start throwing the tomatoes, but as change continues, what you're doing as a trailblazer becomes a norm, right? And then there's no more tomatoes, and you've got a whole line of people following behind you, which actually push you up to keep being able to continue blazing the trail.
I don't think we can touch on this subject at all without also looking at legal and lawful.
Oh,
We can't. I mean, if
I agree.
we've come to understand the difference between the two, and the corruption and the absolute fraud within the legal. Navigating our way, building these bridges, as we talk about, between the old and new paradigms, taking businesses, taking law, taking whatever does serve and sifting through basically what we've had and figuring out what does serve and what should move forward once it's been
See for what it is?
no, once it's been critically analysed and reworked in order to fit a new paradigm. And I'm wondering whether now's not a good time to bring Mel in. Because these are things you've obviously thought about. The simple fact that you haven't gone down any of the traditional roads with the structure for Fix the World. You've been looking for 2 years for something that fits the model of a new paradigm business. And there's nothing, I mean, if you're looking in the old world, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our thoughts and beliefs on what a corporation means right now and what its stature might be. We also know, like you said, the corruption within a non-profit or even a foundation.
Right.
Everything is rife
Trusts.
with trusts. Everything's rife with fraud and corruption. But no business can operate, I won't use the word legal, but I will use the word lawful, without some kind of lawful structure in terms of how you're going to actually deal with each other within the business itself, a platform for dealing with other businesses, other corporations, other individuals, you know. I'm fascinated actually, because I don't know, this is something I don't know yet, and how you're seeing that moving forward.
Well, the important thing is, the way I think about it is, we have to be able to conduct transactions. Because if we have theories about, well, this is a business structure and it's a theory and maybe we can go into common law research and figure that out. I can't buy somebody's plane tickets to go to a project on a theory. I need a system of some sort. We've got a system. We've been using the old system the whole way. So at this point, I think that we're still in transition as a collective society. The new is right around the corner. I believe in it fully with all of my heart that we can create that. But for now, in transition mode, which might take a while. It might be a few years, it might be a generation, we don't know how long, right? It might take a while, we hope not, right?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. But in transition mode, in order to actually get things done and accomplish things, we need to use some of the systems that we already have in place. So we can purchase goods, we can get
Plane tickets.
we can ship things and get them through customs and, you know, go buy groceries. I would love to be able to, you know, pay for something with my IM presence, but it hasn't worked yet. So I still need the cash. So what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out which one of these systems is the least corrupt, with the least amount of regulations. One of my business partners was sharing stories with me recently that he has personally lost, and he's a very, you know, successful man. He's done lots of different businesses and raised them from nothing to something wonderful. He personally lost 4 separate businesses over the course of like the last decade, just because the laws kept changing in America.
Absolutely.
Sounds like Atlas Shrugged.
Right? So,
My dad in the green industry, that was exactly what they kept running into again and again and again, is you
right.
remarket the product, you'd go like this, and literally you'd stand before, you know, the committee for a major city, and they'd go, oh, well, didn't you hear about that law we passed last week, where now you have to do it like this, and they're like,
They pass a law, they pass a bill, and the law changes, the business owner loses the business.
Yep.
And 10,000 jobs are gone.
Yep.
Because somebody changed the law, and what was the purpose for the law?
diddly squat.
Like really
Well,
just
more revenue
it was-
raising usually?
Well, it was usually, yeah, it
Yeah.
enables someone over here to make money, you know, General Electric, or Ford, or name a major corporation, Monsanto, to the detriment of everyone over here.
Yeah, I mean, and
Well, that's the way it's been going for generation after generation now.
They've made it almost impossible for small business
It is.
to operate.
And that is one of the things, in North America, and that's what we were talking about it just recently, but going back to Canada, where we're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now. And I said, I will not go back to North America. I will not, because I've already seen just how unbelievably crippling it is to work within that structure. So why would I go back to something that would cripple you to enable you to move forward? Because it's a continuous battle, all your energy is in the battle of just staying afloat, let alone moving ahead.
so, I mean, where I'm at, my mentality right now is, Not saying this is the best, everybody should do Moroccan. This is, because there's other countries that have, where my mentality is at is 75,000 people die every day from starvation on this planet, okay? So every day that goes by, that's 75,000 more people that die, that don't need to. I want to get these projects done. I want to get these projects launched, and I want to start making change, and I want to stop the suffering. So in the meantime, find the best system that I can, so that I can run the transactions, so that we can implement these projects and bring in the funding and be as transparent as possible and put everything that we can out there on the website for people to see. This is what we're doing, this is how much we're spending, and stop the suffering. So this is a vehicle to do that at this point in time. And that's always going to be my mentality. If there's a new structure and a new system, I guess we'll be the pioneers for that too. We'll be the first ones to try it out and tell everybody how we've done.
Well, this is, I cannot stand the structures as they stand now.
No.
It drives me nuts, and that's one of the reasons why I came to Morocco in the first place, oh my God, a year and a half ago. But unfortunately, we are, as you said, at that crux point where we are on the very edge. And to move forward, you still have those moments where you just have to use the older systems, whether it's fundraising, whether it's in order to keep us going. We have to look to the older.
It's funny, I was thinking about this the other day, that fundraising is actually embraced in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a friggin' telephone.
They're
Oh
fundraising
my God.
They're fundraising in Ebola right now.
And
Don't even get me started. That's a new special coming very, very soon on Conspicuous News.
And people will give, they'll sit in front of their TV and they will make that phone call and they will feel good about giving to some charitable organisation where the money just doesn't end up anywhere that it says it's going to. And yet in the independent, alternative, conspiracy theory, well, whatever you want to call it, it's maligned, and it's
Absolutely.
it's like if I went to school, if I came and studied and I got a degree in journalism from a corrupt corporate entity, and I then went and worked for one of these mainstream corporation news programs and got paid $100,000 a year, and
That's acceptable.
not only is it acceptable, if I then turned around and blew the whistle on one of some, and I'm now a victim of being attacked by the corporations and I need help, mate, I would be buried in assistance and funding to help this poor person who went down this road. And yet, I don't know how many thousands of people around the world didn't go down those roads of education, don't have those pieces of paper, have never touched a corporate entity in their lives, but they've got a blog, or they've got a radio show, or they've got a Facebook page, or they've got something where they do nothing but research, are truth seekers through and through, and are totally dedicated to educating people, and they've got a donate button. And it's like
slagged for it.
Absolutely slagged for it. And I know people who do sit at their computers for 12, 15 hours a day. And they've done it for years. It is their lives, and they're the first ones to break the story when it comes to, this is what happened on mainstream news, and this is what I found out about it, and they're publishing it an hour or two after. And yet, okay, that's a telephone, and I'm going to give $100 to the cancer research.
Yeah. Listen, I said that,
They get you
what I said, over the course of the last 10 years, I have been paid for the articles that I write in the industries that I worked for. My articles were put in mainstream magazines on childbirth and breastfeeding, and I was paid to do interviews, and I was paid to do radio shows, but now,
You get my love and appreciation.
I see this, I get paid, her I am right there, she's paid. But this is the whole thing. I put just as much work, actually I put even a lot more hours now into the research that I'm doing, etc. But now, because it's not something that the mainstream media wants to give me money for, oh, well, then how do you donate money? Fundraising, ooh.
I think we're just about ready to change that though.
I think so, absolutely.
Like I said earlier in the show, the only way we're going to get through this is if we come together,
Yeah.
we stop putting our resources in whatever way they are represented, whether it's money or time or energy, into supporting that which no longer serves us. We do the CCs and the QEG, and it's a beautiful, beautiful example of how people just stopped giving all of their energy to what wasn't working. They came together and started giving it to what is. And what is, and I don't mean by what is as in the QEG specifically, I mean as in a new paradigm of cooperating with each other. That is working. And the progress they're making on the QEG is because of that. I'm not going to wait anymore. We're going to do it ourselves, and we are going to make mistakes, but we are going to build those bridges a step at a time, whatever they look like. And we need them across the board. We need them. Okay, media is huge. It's one of the biggest programming tools there is.
Yeah.
But so is education in the school system.
Yeah.
Huge. So are pharmaceuticals. So we know what they all are, and people who are in these different industries who do know better can follow Fix the World or QEG or any other examples out there to bring others in their industry together that they know are on the same page as them and start building bridges.
Well,
No more saviors. No
No.
more waiting for someone to give us permission to do something. No more waiting for someone to say they have all the answers. No. Just do. Fuck it. I'm so done with the games. I'm so done.
well, here's another perspective too on that. And this is something that's really come through the work that we've done with Fix the World. There is like there's an alchemy in giving. Okay? Picture it like an energy stream. And when you decide to tap yourself into that giving energy stream, from your heart, you're giving of your time, $5 donation to something you believe in, right? You tap yourself into that energy stream, and that's what brings things forward. Because as many people, there's the trolls and the people that say negative things, they really are only like 5% of the people.
Or less than that.
Or less than 5%. And they're really, really, really loud. But here's the interesting thing. When we were running a crowdfunding campaign for the QEG or for one of the Fix the World tours or any of those things, and putting it out there, the more trolls we had, all of a sudden at the same time, the donations were going up. Because there's people that really do want to participate in the alchemy of giving. Because they feel good about it. And I've spoken to many people who have made donations, and I've said, thank you, and it's because of you that we're able to go and do these things. And they say, we support the work that you do. And I think that's really important with media, because you've got so much media out there that's all bull. And the work that you guys are doing is digging and finding the truth. I remember when I was living in Boston when the Boston bombings occurred. In 15 minutes, the smoke hadn't even cleared from the fake bombs. There were truth seekers on Facebook going crazy with the truth.
Yeah,
So
that's
we were,
Within 2 hours.
I think we're all guilty.
Within video footage.
Blood and all the
And
stuff
for
like that.
people who are
To imagine getting back into finance. And now I'm looking at it and I'm having to redesign my understanding around money, because the concept of money has been so tainted. And the fact of the matter is, we do still live in a world where money is required to pay electricity, to buy groceries, some of these things. And how do we bring in resources in such a way where we can feel good about what we're doing? And the objective isn't how can we have the highest bottom line? How can we make the most money? It's how can we incorporate these kind of new visionary ideas to bring in the resources that we need to be able to give back and be able to support others?
And
So
give
what about
back
those
even
people-
more as well. I mean, that's the kind of the joke is,
Mm.
here, I have a new computer, it's very nice, thank you, Mooch.
Your keyboard works,
But yeah,
even
I-
your F button.
well, I have an F button, and I have a keyboard that works, and I have an enter key that works, and a shift key that works. Woo! But for 4 months, I struggled with a computer that was almost non-functioning, because that's what I had. And therefore, you're limited by what you have. And sometimes if we talk about, oh, we want to move forward with the one network, and of having equipment that we don't have technical glitches in the beginning of every show.
But what about those people who are, like Brian said, those ones who ring up or emailing or whatever and just say, I hate my life, I hate my job, I hate what I'm doing, but I don't have any options, I don't see any options because I've got to keep a roof over my head, I've got a family who are relying on me, I'm responsible for. At this point, just from my own personal feeling on it all, is start looking around you to the other people who are in the same industry as you, who are in the same place as you mentally and emotionally. There's bound to be other people at work who feel exactly the same way. Start talking, start brainstorming on, okay, these are the skill sets that we have. We've been in this industry for 20 years, 10 years, whatever it is. This is all I know how to do. That's the other problem people have. I don't know how to do anything else. But if you start communicating with others in your industry and start brainstorming, maybe you'll actually come up with an idea of how you can all take your skill sets and your experience and your distaste for the way it currently gets utilised and repackage it,
Change the script.
change the
Change
script.
the script.
Whether you can do it internally within the business or the corporation or the whatever structure you're currently working in, or whether you guys will just get up, hightail it and go and create something new, whatever that looks like. But I think that's the way we're going to have to move forward too. Instead of that feeling of being stuck, because you're never stuck.
No.
Absolutely, I do not believe anybody is ever
It's just stuck as a perception.
that. And everyone thinks they're alone.
I was just gonna
That's
say
the other.
that.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're on their own on this, and that nobody thinks the way they do, and they're surrounded by people who are afraid to also talk up. Start talking. Be the one who starts that conversation at the water cooler or whatever it looks
Coffee
like,
maker,
and the coffee maker,
Sorry.
and
Speaking
see, just see. Maybe start up a meetup. Start to do something just to even break through the mental block of I don't have options.
There's something else to throw in there too, because what I've seen over the last year, since like the Opal Tour and the Fix the World Tour and getting out there, is that people have been, and the QEG, people that have been in solitude are coming out and they're meeting other people that think the way that they think. And they're like, "Ah, I've been alone all this time."
Oh, we saw so much of that on
Right?
tour, it's not funny.
Okay.
We've talked about that. We talked
So,
about that exactly. that
That's
way.
happening, not just in our group, in your group, but all these groups that are trying to make change on this planet. right?
Well, that was one of the things
So,
that fueled the tour in the
that's a big
first
one.
place.
But the other thing too is that you still meet up against that resistance, even in the groups themselves. So a couple of things, just a little bit of a pointer is work with the willing. I wouldn't suggest that you should be like the ambassador for waking people up sometimes. I believe personally that an awakening experience is something that has to come from within a person and their soul.
Yeah.
And so somebody gets really excited, they just found out about the truth about the whole planet and everything, and they're like, I have to tell everybody. And then they go to their family and their friends, and they get beaten down and ostracized, and they
We've all
feel
done it.
frustrated, right? We've all done it. Some of us have lost family members, marriages, all kinds of things,
All kinds of
right?
things.
All things have been sacrificed because one person woke up, the other one didn't, stuff like that. But it's just surround yourself with people that think like you do so that you can strengthen that bond, because we do need to come together collectively and don't spend,
Like this.
yeah, don't spend too much time allowing yourself to get beat up by the opposition, because sometimes there's nothing you can say. That person's on their
The
path.
flip side of that is you never know who you're meant to be the trigger for.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Absolutely.
So I plant a seed, but don't bang your head against the wall.
No, and that's it.
And, yes.
No one can forget what they've heard. The seed is always there. And I used to see it all the time in certain industries, or maybe with the vaccine stuff, where you say, put something on your wall on Facebook, and somebody would go, oh no, it's not true, vaccines have saved the lives of millions of children. And yet, something happens 2
Don't hold back.
3 years
No, I hate it
later.
when you hold back.
I know. I'll try and control myself. But 2 3 years later, something will happen in that person's personal life, and I've had it happen multiple times now, where they come back to you and go, what was that information you had about vaccines? Because this just happened and I remembered what you said.
Yeah.
So the seed doesn't necessarily mean it's going to bloom that day,
No.
or that week, that month, or year,
Yeah.
but it's always there. You can't unhear what you've already heard. At some level, it's there.
And it's a shift that happens within the person that has nothing to do with you controlling them.
No.
It's their connection to source that makes it happen.
And when they're meant to get it, they will.
And I think the important thing that I always tell myself is to remember how humanity's been through hell. We've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And some people do certain things, they think a certain way because of programming, system, still a lot of suffering, and to just have compassion, no matter what. No matter what. Sometimes in a moment of anger, it's really hard to rustle up that compassion because you just want to,
At that point, walk away.
walk away, do what you gotta do to calm down, but just remember to come back to that place of compassion and humility, no matter what, because we're all in this together, no matter what.
Well, on some level, we created all of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like I try to, for me personally, not be reactionary anymore. It's like if I'm responsible for all of my creation, including the black and zeros in my bank account, I can either accept or resist or change the script. And know that there's value in all experience, no matter what shape, size, circumstance, or color it's painted with. And from that space, you can get centered. And when you're in that space of centeredness, then that's when inspiration and ideas start coming and flowing. And then the result of those kind of ideas incubating is things like the QEG, Fix the World, or the One Network, or Transambiguous News, or whatever projects ultimately anybody in the world is working on. And so it's fostering the right mindset is so valuable. I think that to a certain extent we're all learning and remembering how to do that the most effectively. We look at that person that seems to be really balanced and we go, what's their fucking secret? In a world of chaos. And we all have this amazing potential, this amazing capability within ourselves, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to tap into that reservoir. It's limitless, just like the amount of energy that's available in every cubic square inch around us.
I think you nailed it when you said reactionary mode, because something that's come to me recently is most of the time we can be in one of two modes, creationary or reactionary. And if you're not in one, you're probably in the other. So even if, and you could be creating something you don't want to create. Right? So you're either reacting to something somebody else did to you, or reacting to something that's happening, or the hardest thing is in the face of all of this stuff coming at you to say, no, this isn't what I want to create. I'm going to visualize what I want to create right now. And there's the as above, so below concept. It takes a little bit of time. So you create it with your thoughts, kind of in a higher space, and it takes a little bit of time for it to come into reality. A couple of days, a few minutes, a couple of weeks, a couple of years, whatever it is, but you're always creating it. And this is the one thing that's given me comfort.
I'd actually like to put the call out to everybody listening to have a think about how they could build bridges or shift paradigms or whatever is needed within their own field of expertise. How do you might be a nurse, you might be a teacher, you might be a mechanic, you might be whatever. How can you take the skills, the education, the experience, everything you've had, and infuse your particular, what's the word I'm looking for?
Energy?
No,
Imagination.
no.
Expression?
The industry. Come on.
Great word, sounds
Good
like.
suggestion.
What does it look like ideally? What does your work environment look like? Imagine what it looks like where you want to wake up and you're excited to wake up in the morning and go to work. What would have to change for that to happen? And really build a picture, a really solid picture of what that looks like. Fix the World might end up with a whole new bunch of projects in the near future. If people do this.
Sometimes you have to reverse engineer it, right?
Exactly.
Start with the goal,
Oh
and
yeah.
Work it back.
back from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what
That's
I
what we're
that's
doing.
what we've had to do with
That's project
With
management
media.
101.
Exactly.
and
Structure it out that way.
people have done it. Various people have done it. We met a gorgeous woman in Norway when the Apple tour went to Norway, who has a whole new paradigm for education in schools. We need to get that information out. Actually, that's a reminder for me.
Noted.
Noted. And the other thing I wanted to say, we were talking about it earlier, I just wanted to backtrack a little bit, and we're not running out of time, but that concept of being alone is what fueled the open tour. And I cannot tell you, I lost count of how many people turned up who burst into tears immediately, because it was the first time they felt surrounded by people of the same mindset. They feel so totally alone in their own lives, in their own homes, within their own families, at work, wherever. There is zero people for them to talk to. Zero. And all they had to do was walk into a room or walk into a yard or walk into wherever we were and see 50, 100 people who they knew were all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
And they just burst into tears.
Yeah.
And some of them didn't stop.
During the QEG build, we ran into that the whole time as well, when people were showing up, and we had people who were literally just showing up.
Yeah.
Right, Brian?
Just
And the same type of thing of that, I'm overwhelmed to just be here and to be able to sit and have dinner and go, so, the energetics today, were like," and not have a whole bunch of people go, what? What crack are you smoking? Because you're accepted, and you feel it the moment you
Don't
walk in.
smoke crack.
Don't smoke crack. Smoke it.
Being around like-minded people. I think
It
that's
changes your world.
well.
it
That's
changes
the
your
reason
world.
why people tune into the radio shows and follow the work, and sometimes it's the only outlet. People have there's this bubble that's created in life that when you're in the system and all you do is go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up. It gets monotonous. And the amount of inspiration that can come by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, whether it be over the internet or in your own community, is huge. And people are doing it everywhere, all over the world right now. There's little pockets of this happening in every tucked away corner of the world, because we're all tapping into this energy in the collective. And we're all pulling down the same stuff. And even the ones that feel the most trapped, they're pulling down the same information too.
And the rate that people are waking up is exponential, and there's a really good chance you're not the only person at work or in your neighbourhood or in your industry who feels the same way you do.
Yeah.
So start connecting and start brainstorming and start just talking to each other.
And there's a middle ground too of having a conversation with people, because some people, they're not on the extreme, they don't use the language of I'm awake and all of that,
Yeah.
but find that middle language so that you can start to slowly have those conversations with people right in the middle ground as well.
So before we sign off, the One Network is very excited to announce that Fix the World is going to be joining us probably 2 shows a week.
Yes.
One will be a free energy update, where you'll be able to bring on engineers from all around the world who are working on the QEGs and other technologies.
Yes.
And one will be focused on fix the world projects specifically, of all projects.
Yes, and we're very excited to do that because we haven't been on the air on a regular basis for quite some time, and I think it's really important that we can be in people's living rooms and they can see what we're doing, and to just make that connection again. So we're really excited to bring some great shows your way.
Awesome.
It's not so bad.
What's that?
Randy, to get in contact with Beck.
Oh, sure, go.
For anybody out there that listens to us that knows Randy,
Randy?
he's having some trouble out in North Carolina, got arrested for driving around with Freeman plates. And if anybody is interested in assisting him, get in touch with Beck Snyder on Facebook or Kelly B. Out in North Carolina. They're in the NC Opal meetups. And if anybody's in the area that might be able to help Randy, I told her I would make the announcement.
Thank you. And hi to Randy.
Hey Randy.
Okay, archive will be up as soon as we can get it. And we will see you next week with even more shows. And Transconspicuous News is coming up again soon.
Oh, several specials with Transconspicuous News that have been going through my head. We're going to be doing a financial update one very, very soon.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks Blue Star Darius.
Thank you.
You're welcome.